What's up, everybody? Know it's been a minute since I made a video. I'm gonna go ahead and make a quick video. I've been meaning to put the wheel bearings in the front wheel and go ahead and put that back on so I can get the bike moving around. So today I've already got one of the wheel bearings installed with the seal and everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I'm gonna be doing the other side of this wheel bearing. All right, so what I got here in this box is a roller bearing for the wheel. It's a Harley, original part. Here's the race that I have to drive into the wheel. So that'll actually set in the wheel, and that'll be the housing for this bearing to roll inside of. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on this bearing, and then I'm gonna be driving it in. And then I'll kind of go over how you drive it in and when to know, when to stop driving and all that. So I'm gonna put this bearing down for a second. I'm gonna grab some grease and show you guys what I'm doing. Okay, so I got a little bit of grease on my glove here. I'm just gonna go ahead and run it on the outside, just like that. Just kind of give it some lubrication when I'm driving it in. So there's a tapered, so it tapers inward like a cone on the inside. And so what you want to do is have that taper facing down into the wheel, so that when you set your bearing in, because the bearing is also tapered, as you can see. So it'll actually sit down in the taper like that. So you want, like I said, taper side down. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put some grease inside here, make it a little bit easier to slide around in there, and then we're just going to set the race right on the wheel, kind of even like that. And then I bought a bearing race driver set from Harbor Freight. I think it was like $20 or something like that. It was really inexpensive. In the kit, it comes with a bunch of different sizes, as well as this driver right here. And there's your impact zone right there where you smack, where you're hitting it with the hammer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the right size on here, and then I'll go ahead and start driving this race in. Okay, so as you notice on here, this one is 44.5 millimeters. You see there's a tapered end as well on this. You're gonna put the taper side into the race so that this lip here will actually sit on the racing. So it goes on just like that. Got me a little 3-pound mini sledge from Harbor Freight. So I'm gonna go ahead and start driving this in. And what you want to do when you're driving it in is make sure that it's going down nice and even on all the way around. You're also going to hear a couple different sounds. So obviously there's going to be a really high pinging sound whenever you're driving it, because you're making contact with the metal. But once you get to your stopping point, the sound will completely change. It'll sound more like dull and dead. So I'm going to go ahead and start driving it so you guys can see what's going on. So you notice that sound change right there. It's a little bit more of a thud, like a dud sound. So that's how you know when your race is fully set. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and grease that roller bearing up, and we'll go ahead and get that in the race, and then we'll go ahead and put the seal on. So I'm gonna grab my grease gun and my wheel bearing packer, and we'll go ahead and show you how that works. All right, so what I got here is a wheel bearing packer tool, just so you know you're not doing it by hand, because gets a little messy when you do it by hand. But so what you want to do is put the tapered side with the tapered cone side of this wheel bearing packer tool. Slap it on there. Go ahead and tighten this thing up nice and snug on there. Just like that. And then you're just gonna give it a few pumps. I'll show you. See if I can get the camera angle in there so you can see the grease come through. So you're just gonna pump it, and then you see the grease is starting to come out the bottom of the bearing. That's how you know it's nice and packed up. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple more squeezes. And I'm gonna get a glove on, go ahead and wipe this bearing around, get the grease all the way around the bearing, and then we'll go ahead and slide it in. And this grease is some messy stuff, so go ahead and take my bearing out. It's really sticky stuff here. It's what is it, Molly grease or something like that? I can't remember the name of it, but it's you know, specifically for bearings. I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure it's all greased up. So nice and packed on the inside. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it down in the race and go ahead and grab some grease off the tool here and just give it a couple more wipes on the inside. Never have too much grease. You want it to be as greased as possible. So with that done, now I'm gonna be putting in my seal, which is right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and get these gloves off. Or at least one of them. All right. So this is the seal, rubber seal that sits on top of the bearing just to keep all the grease in, all the grime out of the bearing, just protect it, as well as hold the bearing in place. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set this on top. So it has a deep groove there. That side is actually gonna go down, obviously, and sit on top of the bearing with your flat side on top. So I'm just gonna drop that down right in there just like that. And I'm going to be using the same size for the driver tool. But the only difference is I'm going to be flipping it so that the larger surface area is actually facing down and making contact with the seal to help it drive down. So we're just gonna go ahead, take our driving tool, and set it on. And again, you're just gonna make sure it's going down nice and even. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple smacks. Okay. So you notice that sound change. All right, maybe a little bit more. All right. So wheel bearings installed. Seals installed. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a quick wipe down, and then we're going to move on to reinstalling it on the bike. All right, so next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to wipe this grease off this wheel real quick. Next thing I'm going to be doing is actually reinstalling the brake discs onto this wheel. The size for this is a T40, and it's a Torx bit. So we're just gonna go ahead and get these nuts out of here. I went ahead and got the front wheel on, and I went ahead and, even though my tins aren't completed, I went ahead and kind of roughly put everything on. Everything's still loose, but I want to roll it out and take a look at it. All right, so front wheel has been changed to black. I still have to do the rear wheel. I did paint instead of powder coating because I don't really see the major issues with just throwing a coat of black and then putting clear on it. But this is how the bike is going to look. Obviously my fairing is off. I haven't put the fairing on yet. I've got the headlight off because I'm gonna obviously mount it, fix it inside the fairing. But this is what it's gonna, like I said, roughly look like when it's done. But it's got 10-inch risers on it right now. I haven't had a chance to actually, with it on the ground and everything, sit and see how I like it. But I mean, I think once the fairing's on and everything, and my bars are actually, the bend on these bars, these are actually stock Sportster bars, and they've got like a 4-inch rise on them. So whenever I get the new bars, I think they've only got like maybe an inch rise, so it'll actually sit quite a bit lower. So I think that'll actually fit up really nicely. And then, like I said, I've got to move the forwards to the mids. I'm gonna have to figure something out with this thunder header too. I mean, it's not completely bolted up. It's just kind of in there right now, but it does hang pretty low. So I'm probably gonna end up cutting right where it goes from 2 to 1, and then maybe re-weld it so that it flows with the swing arm. That's probably what I'll end up doing there. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. Obviously the rear fender's got to be fixed up. As you can see, my holes don't exactly line up. I'm gonna have to put a hole somewhere right in here, that way I can lift it up. And obviously the back wheel has to be painted. But yeah, I mean, it's finally coming together. I'm finally able to see it somewhat together. I'm really liking how it's turning out. Yeah, I've got new cables and everything. Those are just the ones off the 18-inch ape hangers that came with the bike. The cables that I do have, they just barely don't reach those Sportster bars. So with the new bars, everything should line up pretty well. And that'll clean that up because everything's going to be black, all the cables and everything, so it'll be nice and it'll flow nicely. I do have, as you can see, the chrome is starting to come off these rocker box covers. I do have some new ones, just haven't put them on yet. So I mean, there's just a little bit of here and there stuff that is gonna end up changing a bit, but I just wanted, like I said, get it out, look at it in the sun, and that way I can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Got the bike on the lift. This is where she'll sit till I'm done doing everything to her and rolling her off. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a like and leave a comment too. Let me know what you thought about this video. Share it with your friends. Let's try and grow this channel up. Bike is finally coming together. Should be done here, maybe the next month or two. We'll have her on the road ripping around. So yeah, I mean, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys that are already liking and have already subscribed, and really appreciate the support. So you know, we're going to keep doing this thing, and we'll keep moving forward, and eventually I'll get you some pretty nice footage of riding on the coast and everything. So thanks you guys for watching, and have a good one.